Wow. Major news out of California. Governor Gavin Newsom has gone on the attack against, ready for this, folks? Federal Judge Roger Benitez. That's right, the judge that's going to oversee most of the gun control litigation in California. Gavin Newsom is just attacked in print in the San Francisco Chronicle. You're not going to believe what he said and what this means going forward. Stay tuned. We're going to dig into this. Hey folks, I'm Mark Smith, host of the Four Boxes Down, a proud American gun owner, constitutional attorney, member of the United States Supreme Court Bar, and New York Times best-selling author. If you haven't subscribed to the Four Boxes Diner Second Amendment channel, please do so. Show your love for the right to keep and bear arms and help us hit 100,000 subscribers. We're working hard to get there soon. Oh boy, folks. Shocking news. Shocking news. I have in my hands an article from the San Francisco Chronicle discussing how Governor Gavin Newsom has just targeted and attacked, with his comments, Judge Roger Benitez in California. The title of this article is Pro-Gun Judge, which I'm not sure that's accurate, but he certainly has ruled in favor of Second Amendment rights, as well he should. But pro-gun judge targeted by Newsom might have the Supreme Court on his side. That's the title of the article, according to the San Francisco Chronicle. And here's the interesting thing. Gavin Newsom was asked at a press conference involving new gun control legislation, new gun control laws. He was asked a series of questions, and in that context, Gavin Newsom basically said the following, quote, "I look forward to Judge Benitez's decision. It's already been written." Now that is entirely insulting, right? You're basically saying that a federal judge already knows what he's going to do and has already written the decision before he's judged the facts or the case on its facts and the law. But that's what Judge Benitez says. Now, this is not the first time, according to the San Francisco Chronicle article, that Judge Benitez has been attacked by Gavin Newsom. In the past, Gavin Newsom has referred to Judge Benitez as an ideologue. In fact, in 2021, he referred to Judge Benitez as, quote, a stone-cold ideologue, a wholly owned subsidiary of the gun lobby, period, close quote. That's what Gavin Newsom said about Judge Benitez. Now, could you imagine some conservative governor attacking a federal judge for being a wholly owned subsidiary of, let's say, the abortion industry or anything like that? I would say you wouldn't hear that. But here you have Gavin Newsom. To me, it shows a sign, a true weakness. Newsom shows weakness here. If you're engaging in ad hominem attacks, you're attacking a person by name, calling them names, it's a sign that you have no confidence in your position, in your argument. In fact, for those of us who are, let's say, familiar in the study of philosophy and logic, we all know that one of the basic logical fallacies you learn in Logic 101 is ad hominem attacks or fallacies. Somebody makes an argument or makes a point, and you simply make fun of them or call them a name. That's not an argument. But Gavin Newsom here thinks that he can use ad hominem attacks and call Judge Benitez an ideologue or a stone-cold ideologue or a wholly owned subsidiary of the gun lobby, and he thinks that matters. But what's interesting is this excellent writer in the San Francisco Chronicle points out that the Supreme Court of the United States may very well be on Judge Benitez's side. And it's not that the Supreme Court is on Judge Benitez's side. It's that the text and the history and the tradition of the United States Constitution and the Second Amendment, as well as American gun traditions, are all on the side of Judge Benitez. The only people on the side of Gavin Newsom are urban elites, highly influenced by globalist influences, including European, that are totally anti-gun and treat their so-called citizens as serfs and subjects. I would make the case that there are no real citizens in Europe, perhaps maybe in Switzerland. You're looking mostly at serfs and subjects in most of that continent. Not entirely, but I think as a general rule, that's not so bad to say what I just said. It's not so inaccurate. So Governor Newsom is obviously worried about where this where these gun control laws are going to go in Judge Benitez's court. And remember, Judge Benitez is only federal district court, so he's going to have the first say, but it's all going to get appealed. Now, historically, those appeals to the Ninth Circuit, when they would go en banc, would ultimately give rise to victories for gun control organizations, gun control movements, right? But that's no longer the case necessarily because of the United States Supreme Court decision in NYSERPA versus Broom. We see countless victories for the Second Amendment all across the country, including in sort of anti-gun jurisdictions such as New Jersey and New York and even Colorado. Places like this, we've seen major victories. And even in Wilmington, Delaware, we've seen huge Second Amendment victories in federal court. That's, of course, the home of Joe Biden. I should mention that the San Francisco Chronicle article, which I'll link to down below, does talk a little bit about Judge Benitez's background. It points out he's 72 years of age. He came from Cuba. He was born in Cuba and came to the United States as a child, and he eventually became a federal district court judge in 2004 when he was nominated to the federal bench by George W. Bush. And what's interesting is that Judge Benitez was nominated to the federal bench with the support of two sitting California Democratic senators, Dianne Feinstein and Barbara Boxer, which is quite interesting because, both are very supportive of gun control, but they recommended Judge Benitez wholeheartedly, and he got the nomination and, of course, got the confirmation. Now he's a federal judge. I should mention that in defense of Judge Benitez in this article in the San Francisco Chronicle, two lawyers who represent the Second Amendment, I should say one lawyer and one legal organization that represents the Second Amendment in courts. Chuck Michel, the attorney for the California Rifle and Pistol Association, had this to say, quote, "The judge," referring to Judge Benitez, "the judge is a fair, thorough, and thoughtful jurist who holds the state to its burden of proof." He goes on to say about Judge Benitez, quote, "As a refugee from the Cuban Revolution, he has seen tyranny up close and personal." I think that's a very powerful statement from Chuck Michel, the attorney for the California Rifle and Pistol Association, which, as you know, is an affiliate of the National Rifle Association. The other funny quote here is from the Firearms Policy Coalition. It doesn't indicate who at FPC made the comment, but somebody at the Firearms Policy Coalition, here's what they said about Gavin Newsom in this article. They said, quote, "He's just another opportunistic authoritarian politician with a hairstylist." Close quote. Great quote from FPC. So to close, I think it's really telling that California and their lead gun control proponent in Gavin Newsom, who wants to be president in 2024 if he gets his shot, is running scared. You don't behave this way. You don't make comments like that about federal judges if you're in a position of authority, position of power, in a position where you think you can win the case. These people realize that the laws they're enacting are likely violative of the Second Amendment and the United States Supreme Court's precedent. When these states engage in these hissy fits, they're passing these laws, they're likely going to get struck down. Most of these things are getting struck down. Huge victories for the Second Amendment all across the map, including, I think, upcoming in California. I've looked at a lot of the California papers. California has not submitted very compelling arguments that I think can justify their onerous gun control laws. Only time will tell what happens. I think Judge Benitez is going to look very carefully at this. He's very smart, very thorough. And, of course, he's cited and quoted a very prominent YouTuber, Mark Smith. So we also have to like him for that, although I've never met the man. He obviously has good taste and good judgment in light of that. Okay, hope you learned a little bit something here at the Four Boxes Diner. If you haven't subscribed, please do so, and we'll see you again soon at the Four Boxes Diner.
Orders up. Table 2A.